The Mayavadis say that because one is unable to fix his mind on the impersonal existence of the absolute truth, one can imagine any form he likes and fix his mind on that imaginary form. But such a process is not recommended here. Imagination is always imagination and results only in further imagination. A concrete description of the eternal form of the Lord is given here. The Lord's soul is depicted with distinctive lines resembling a thunderbolt, a flag, a lotus flower, and a gourd. The luster of his toenails, which are brilliantly prominent, resembles the light of the moon. If a yogi looks upon the marks of the Lord's soul and on the blazing brilliance of his nails, then he can be freed from the darkness of ignorance in material existence. This liberation is not achieved by mental speculation, but by seeing the light emanating from the lustrous toenails of the Lord. In other words, one has to fix his mind first on the lotus feet of the Lord if he wants to be freed from the darkness of ignorance in material existence. So Lord Kapila is giving his instructions to his mother about the process of meditation. And in this verse, in the previous verse, he mentioned that the yogi should meditate on different limbs of the Lord, one after another, progressively. And in today's verse, he begins how one should meditate on the lotus feet and the toenails and the sole of the Lord's lotus feet. Sanchintayet, chintayet, sanchintayet, one should concentrate and meditate. Bhagavatas charanara vindam, on the lotus feet of the Lord. And that lotus feet of the Lord has some very specific marks, is adorned with adhyam, with vajra, a thunderbolt, ankusha, a goad used for driving an elephant, dhvaja, a flag or a banner, saroruha, and a lotus. These are the lanchana, these are the marks, adhyam. They adorn the lotus feet of the Lord. And and then his nakha. Nakha means the nails, the toenails. Utthunga rakta vilasannaka chakravala jyotsnabihi. Utthunga, very, very prominent. Rakta, it is reddish. Vilasat, it is brilliant. Nakha, it is the nails, toenails of the Lord. Chakravala jyotsnabihi. Chakravala, the orb of the moon, the circular globe around. Just like when you see the moon, around the moon you see a brilliant light. So jyotsnabihi, the moonlight. And this is how the Lord's toenails are, very brilliant and reddish, very prominent, effulgent. And when one meditates like that, sanchintayet bhagavatas charanara vindam, what is the effect? Ahata. Ahata, one is dispelled. One can dispel. Dispel what? Hridaya andhakaram, the darkness in the heart. Hridaya, in the heart, andhakaram. And what kind of a darkness? Mahat hridaya andhakaram, the thick darkness that is there in the heart of a conditioned soul can be ahata, can be dispelled. The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet. Sanchintayet Bhagavatas Charanaravindam, which are adorned with the marks, Lanchanadhyam, of a thunderbolt, Vajra, a goad, Ankusha, a banner, Dhvaja, and a lotus, Saroruha. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails, Uttunga Rakta Vilasan Nakha, resembles the orb of the moon, Chakravala, Jyotsnabihi, and dispels Ahata, the thick gloom of one's heart. Mahat Hridaya Andakaram. So this is the effect of meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord. I remember once I'd met one scholar whom we were trying to engage in translating one of Srila Prabhupada's books, Rajavidya, to English. And he told me to leave the book with him, and I left the book with him for a few days, and after that he came back and he was discussing about the translation. And in the very first chapter of the book, Prabhupada talks about this, a book on the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And the first verse, Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyanasuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yagnatva mokshase ashubhat. So he had some observations on the way Srila Prabhupada has translated this verse. And one of the observations was on the word Ashubhat. The word Ashubha, Shubha means auspicious, and Ashubha means inauspicious. But when Prabhupada translates, so generally when you read somebody's translation, Krishna is saying, now I shall speak to you, pravakshyami, anasuyave, because you are not envious of me. Jnana vijnana sahitam, I'm going to speak to you, guhyatamam, very confidential. Jnana vijnana sahitam, knowledge and realization, by which mokshase ashubhat, by which you will be freed from ashubhat. So this man is a scholar, and so he knows the meaning of the word Shubha and Ashubha, and so he expected that Prabhupada will translate that verse as you will be freed from inauspiciousness. Simple translation, right? But Srila Prabhupada doesn't translate that way. He says, Ashubhat, from this miserable material existence. So he was talking to me and he was saying, Ashubhat means inauspicious. You can say evil things. And so Krishna is saying, I'm going to speak to you by which you will be freed from all the evil things in your heart. But why does your Swamiji say, from this miserable material existence? That was his question. So then I started explaining to him different, from the Prabhupada's philosophy. Actually, suppose you are talking to prisoners in a jail, right? And then you are talking to them, you do this, and if you do this, you will be freed from the inauspicious, from the Ashubha of this existence. When we say that Ashubha, in the case of a prisoner, which is the biggest inauspiciousness for a prisoner? The man is stuck in the prison, isn't it? You will be freed from the inauspiciousness of your existence, meaning it refers to that you will be freed from the prison. Not that you are getting only one roti, you will get 2 rotis from tomorrow. You will get 1 extra pillow from tomorrow. These are not the really Ashubhat. So actually Ashubhat, moksha se yagnatva, moksha se Ashubhat, actually is referring to that you will be freed from this miserable material existence. That's the correct understanding. That's the correct meaning. That's the correct import. The Ashubha for us in this material existence is the very fact that we are here in this material world, which is full of miseries, and we will be freed from that. It is not referring to some material benediction. You may get the material benediction, but that's not the highest. For that you don't need guhyatamam, jnana vijnana sahitam. That will free you from this very material existence. In the same way, here in this verse today, Kapila Deva has said, ahata mahat hrudayandhakaram, that we will be freed from the dense, thick darkness in the heart of a living entity. And of course, there are many dark things in the heart of a living entity. And the basis of all of this darkness in the heart has come about because of one important misconception, and that is the bodily conception of life. The living entity, actually we are spirit souls, not this body. We are residing in the body, but we have a conception of ourselves in terms of this body. And this, because of this bodily conception, from the bodily conception comes, because we think we are the body, comes thoughts, feelings, aspirations, determination, activities, all of this coming from that bodily conception of life. And since the bodily conception itself is on a wrong footing, all of these other feelings and aspirations and emotions and determination and our activities, everything is on a wrong platform. This is the andhakaram, and this is the mahat hrudaya andhakaram. Now, to bring us out of this darkness, Prabhupada uses one very interesting expression in Krishna consciousness. We have all read this, we have heard this from Srila Prabhupada hundreds and thousands of times. And that expression is to come to the spiritual platform, or to come to the spiritual position. Right now we are in the material platform. We think I am the body, I am this mind, I belong to this country, I belong to this community, I am man, I am woman, I am young and I am old, I am intelligent, I am foolish. All of this is on the material platform, and we are absorbed in that consciousness. Now, we are supposed to come out of this and come to the spiritual. This is the expression Prabhupada uses, coming to the spiritual platform. Once there was a discussion with Srila Prabhupada about a certain book written by some well-known author in our country. It's a Hindi book on Ramayana, very popular. And so there was a discussion. Some Indian guest had come, and there were Western disciples of Prabhupada, and they were talking about this. This book is very popular. What about that? Is it a bona fide book? Prabhupada said, it is more or less bona fide, but here and there are some tinges of Mayavada. But then Prabhupada made this very interesting comment. But I don't think, I have not come across anyone who has come to the spiritual platform by reading that book. You see, this was the test that Prabhupada used. By reading that book, if somebody has come to the spiritual platform, that is an important thing. Because That's the andhakara we are in. That we are thinking we are the body. That to come out of this bodily conception, come to the spiritual position, come to the spiritual platform, and remain on the spiritual platform. That is the core of spirituality. I don't think anyone has achieved that. Prabhupada's saying that. So, this is the... Now, let us see. Prabhupada used these words, coming to the spiritual platform, coming to the spiritual position. What are the words in the Vedic literatures that convey this sense, that coming to the spiritual platform? There are a few words that Krishna uses in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll just stick to the Bhagavad Gita verses for discussion. One word that Krishna uses is in the 2nd chapter, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan. Krishna uses the word Atmavan. Atmavan means, Prabhupada, other places he translated as self-possessed. Actually, the meaning, the sense of the word Atmavan, and here the Prabhupada used the word Atmavan, established in the self. Of course, it can refer to, Atma can refer to the soul and can also refer to the super soul. Because, and Prabhupada says established in the self, meaning in the lower case s or uppercase s. It can refer to both. Established in the self, that's the meaning. Here, Vedas Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The Vedas deal with the 3 modes of material nature and the activities associated with that, and how to elevate one to higher and higher modes. Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna. Straight away Krishna is saying there is something you have to go beyond the 3 modes. Nishtraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Become transcendental to the 3 modes. And when you do that, what happens? Nirdvandvo. You are freed from the dualities of material existence. Nitya Sattvastho. And you are fixed in Sattvastaha. Nitya Sattvastaha. Niryogakshema. Yoga and Kshema. These are the concerns of every living entity in this world. Yoga means to acquire something that we don't have. Kshema means to protect something that we already have. We have to protect that. And Niryoga Kshema means become free from the concerns and worries of possessing, holding on, protecting something which I am possessing. All of that. Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Become established in the self. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the 3 modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Nishtraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Be free from all dualities, Nirdvando, and from all anxieties for gain and safety. Gain and safety. Yoga Kshema. And be established in the self. This word Atmavan, Prabhupada comments in another place, very interestingly. A devotee should always remain Atmavan. Actually, when we have some difficulties in our life, we should reflect on this particular instruction of the Lord and Srila Prabhupada. It helps us to come out of the particular difficulties, the situation, all of that. Why it is so, you will see this here. A devotee should always remain Atmavan, or situated in his spiritual position. He should not forget that his main concern is to make advancement in spiritual consciousness and Krishna consciousness, and he should not ignorantly identify himself with the body or the mind. So we should not forget this main concern. Why are we here in spiritual life? Our main concern should be to come to that spiritual position, to become Atmavan. Atma means the body or the mind. But here the word Atmavan especially means that one should be self-possessed. He should always remain in the pure consciousness that he is spirit soul and not the material body or the mind. That will make him progress confidently in Krishna consciousness. So we have to remind ourselves that we should be Atmavan, and that will help us overcome all of the difficulties. Because all difficulties come because of the body, the mind, or our ego. All of these are coverings to the soul. It's nothing to do with us. We will cast aside all of these things and go one day. This, if we remember and reflect on this instruction, I should be Atmavan. I'm a spirit soul. Why am I worried about all these things? Some honor, dishonor, some comfort for the body, some pleasures for the senses. Why am I seeking all these things? We should reflect on those things. And that's why Prabhupada is saying he should not forget that his main concern is to make advancement in spiritual consciousness. Another word that Krishna uses to convey this concept of spiritual platform, a spiritual conception, is in the 6th chapter, which we are reading now in the morning. Krishna uses this nice word. Shanai shanai uparamed buddhya dhriti gruhitaya atma samstham manakritva nakinchidapi chintaye. Shanai shanai uparamed. Gradually, slowly, shanai shanai uparamed. One should attain that tranquility or the trance. Uparamed. Because in the previous few verses before, Krishna used the same word. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya uparamate. Similar, same word Krishna is summarizing here. Shanai shanai uparamed buddhya dhriti gruhitaya. And the intelligence, gradually, step by step, with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence. Buddhya dhriti gruhitaya. Intelligence should be dhriti gruhitaya, driven by the conviction. Atma samstham, fixed in the self, placed in transcendence. So, Atma samstham. Previously, Krishna used the word Atmavan, Atma samstham. Atma, soul, the self should be situated in its own position as transcendental. Gradually, step by step, with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. It's a very strong word that Krishna is using. Manakrutva, Atma samstham manakrutva, na kinchidapi chintaye. Even kinchidapi na chintaye. Don't think of anything else, even a little bit. Krishna also says this in another verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananya chintayanto. Don't think of anything else. So it's a very strong statement. Well, what about thinking of my house, my family, my body, my safety, my security, all of these things. No, none of those things. We are actually a spirit soul. We are not this body. We are not connected to any of the things with the body. We are spirit soul. So we'll not go into that. Na kinchidapi chintayet. That's another very important discussion. We'll keep it for another day. Another word that Krishna uses, famous word, throughout in the Gita and in the other places in the Vedic literatures, is Brahma Bhuta. There are two words, Jiva Bhuta and Brahma Bhuta. Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashashthandriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. Krishna has used the word Jiva Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakangshati. Brahma Bhuta. So the Jiva Bhuta, the Jiva living entity, his position is not material, but it is Brahma Bhuta. To be situated in Brahman, to be situated in transcendence, to be situated on the spiritual platform. That's the expression that Prabhupada used. And what is the result when you are Brahma Bhuta? Prasannatma. Once Prabhupada said, what is the symptom of a person who is on the spiritual platform? He is simply joyful. In fact, Prabhupada used the word, he is simply jolly. Just happy. That's the position of when we understand we are not this body. We come to the spiritual platform, prasannatma. Na shochati, won't lament. Na kangshati, won't hanker. Samasarveshu bhuteshu, equally disposed to all living entities. Mad bhaktim labhate param. In that state, actually, bhakti labhate, in that state one achieves. That is why the bhakti that we practice is called sadhana bhakti. It has not come to, we have not yet come to that true, pure bhakti platform. That's pure devotee's position. So, on that platform, why this spiritual position, coming to the spiritual platform is important for us? Because on that platform, mad bhaktim labhate param, param bhakti, transcendental devotion, mat, unto me, labhate, you will attain. So, bhakti is actually performed, practiced and attained on that spiritual platform. That is why it is important for us to come out of this material position and come to the spiritual position. There is and Prabhupada always talked about this, even in the very beginning days. We know Srila Prabhupada in 1967, in America there is, like we have Independence Day, or August 15th, there is one important day in the month of May. They call it the Memorial Day. And it's a weekend. It's a long holiday. A lot of Americans go to different vacation. They look for that May because summer is just beginning. During the summer Memorial Day weekend, Srila Prabhupada had his third heart attack. And he also had, that heart attack was accompanied with a paralytic stroke. And his left side became paralyzed. And so the devotees, there were a few devotees, this was in New York, 26 2nd Avenue, in the apartment. Devotees were trying to get a doctor because no doctor was available because of weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Everybody's gone home, gone on a vacation. So they were struggling to find somebody, and then someone came and attended to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was lying, and his left part of the body would not move. And Prabhupada said, he was speaking very softly, and he said, please bring a picture of my spiritual master and stick it. So Prabhupada was lying on the bed. They brought Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's picture and stuck it. And the devotees knew Prabhupada wants to meditate and maybe he will leave this body. So he wants to meditate on his spiritual master's picture. So, but somehow a doctor came and then some medication happened and then Prabhupada was shifted to a hospital. Oh, I'll take little 1 or 2 extra minutes. Prabhupada was shifted to a hospital and then gradually Prabhupada recovered. But then there was one Sunday coming and devotees had arranged a program in the Tompkins Square Park. That's the park where 2 years ago, or 1 year, a little over a year ago, Prabhupada had actually started the kirtans and then the young boys started coming. So devotees had got permission from the park authorities to create a stage and Prabhupada was going to come there and there would be kirtan and Prabhupada was supposed to talk. All that was supposed to happen and Prabhupada is in the hospital. So Prabhupada told the devotees, nevertheless, you have that program. And then he dictated to one of the devotees there his talk and then he told him, you read this. And Prabhupada wrote, and those people in the park, they were all young Americans. So this was called the Address to the Youth of America. Later on, this talk was published in the Back to Godhead magazine. Prabhupada was sitting on the bed in the hospital and he dictated this. So I'll read that and we will see Prabhupada talking even in this very early stage of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is talking about spiritual platform. He dictated and then later on in that festival, it's a small gathering, not a big festival or anything. Kirtanananda Das Brahmachari at that time, he read it out after some amount of kirtan. My dear young, beautiful boys and girls of America. So Prabhupada was, had a lot of hope about the young people, young Americans, young people, they should take to this. My dear young, beautiful boys and girls of America, I have come to your country with great hope. Prabhupada went with great hope and a great mission. My spiritual master, the way Prabhupada addresses his spiritual master, all those Americans, they can't understand anything. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj asked me to preach this cult of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western world. That was the seed-giving incident. Gradually, the seed fructified and I was prepared to come to the Western world. Still, I do not know why I was so much attracted by the land of America. But from within, Krishna dictated that instead of going to Europe, I should better go to America. Prabhupada is referring to this because by and large in the 1920s, 1930s, 40s, British India, going to foreign country means going to London. Because we were ruled by the Britishers. So that's why Gandhiji went to London to do his Bharat law. So by and large people would go to London. But somehow Prabhupada did not go to London. He had set his mind on America. And that's what he's referring to. So you can see that I have come to your country under order of superior authority. Not that I have come on my own. I have come on the order of superior authority. And even after arriving here, when I perceived that some of the youngsters are being misled, confused and frustrated, this is not the condition of your country only, but in every country, the young people are neglected, although it is they who are the flower and future hope of everyone. Prabhupada used these nice words, flower and future hope of everyone. So I thought to myself that if I go to the American youth, young people, with my message, and they join with me in this movement, then it will spread all over the world, and then all the problems of the world will be solved. This was Prabhupada's great hope. How I would like to be with you in person today, but Krishna has prevented that. So please pardon me and accept my blessings in this written form. This process of Sankirtana, this singing and dancing is so nice because from the very beginning it places everyone on the spiritual platform. There are different platforms or levels to our existence: the bodily platform, the mental platform, the intellectual platform, and the spiritual platform. When you stand on the spiritual platform, then all the problems created by the necessities of body, mind, intellect, and ego become solved. Therefore, I appeal to you to join this movement most seriously. The process is very simple. We ask everyone to come join with us in chanting, hear something of the philosophy of life taught by Lord Krishna, take a little prasadam, foodstuff that is prepared and offered to the Lord, and peacefully, with refreshed mind, go home. That is our mission. And so on. I won't go into that. So the next important thing is to come to the spiritual platform. With this I'll close, just 1 or 2 minutes more. Another important thing is to remain on the spiritual platform. Our spiritual processes that Srila Prabhupada has taught will bring us to the spiritual platform. But the next challenge is to remain on the, because again, some of the attractions in the material world can pull us down into material consciousness. How to remain on the spiritual platform? There is this famous Narottam Das Thakur's prayer. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahumora Asha Prarthana Koraye Sadha Narottama Dasa. So sometime back I was reading this poem, this song, very beautiful song. As Prabhupada said, Narottam Das Thakur's songs written in simple Bengali is Shruti. He is on the platform of Vedic literatures. Very, very special. He's saying here, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mora Asha. Rupa Raghunatha Pade means at the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunatha, all the 6 Goswamis, beginning from Rupa all the way up to Raghunatha. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mora Asha. I want to remain at their lotus feet. Prarthana Koraye Sadha Narottama Dasa. And that is my prayer. I'm constant. Sadha Prarthana Koraye. So I was wondering, why is Narottam Das Thakur saying always we should be praying to remain at the lotus feet? There is one very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada explains this in the context of Lord Brahma's prayers in the Bhagavatam. Brahma was ordered to create this universe, and he had to deal with material energy, different kinds of living entities and their different determination, different contaminated desires, the modes of material nature and all of that. So Brahma was concerned that if I have to deal with all of these kind of things, what will happen to me? And so he prays to the Lord, my dear Lord, let me not become contaminated by these things. Let me remain on the spiritual platform. That was the prayer of Lord Brahma. Commenting on that, Prabhupada says, Brahma as the supermost Brahmana, Brahma is the supermost Brahmana, is afraid of such a fall down, and therefore he prays to the Lord for protection. This is a warning for one and all in the spiritual advancement of life. Now Prabhupada says something very significant. Unless one is sufficiently protected by the Lord, he may fall down from his spiritual position. Therefore, one has to pray constantly to the Lord for protection and the blessing to carry out one's duty. Lord Chaitanya also entrusted his missionary work to his devotees and assured them of his protection against the onslaught of material affection. The path of spiritual life is stated in the Vedas to be like the edge of a sharpened razor. A little inattentiveness may at once create havoc and bloodshed. But one who is a completely surrendered soul, always seeking protection from the Lord in the discharge of his entrusted duties, has no fear of falling into material contamination. So, one is to come to the spiritual platform, another is to remain on the spiritual platform. And to remain on the spiritual platform, Prabhupada's instruction, Narottam Das Thakur's instruction, Lord Brahma's instruction is Sada Prarthana Kore. Constantly to be praying to the Lord to remain on the spiritual platform, even in the midst of all the different situations that we are in. When we are in the spiritual platform, we are out of material darkness in the heart. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.